We've all seen the movie The Matrix. It was interesting and fun on the big screen of the TV, but has it become a bit too real in your own life? Are you seeing glitches in the Matrix and trying to figure out what's happening? Have you been told that you've been tricked and that you need to fight against what they've done to you? The deception. Whether you're just beginning to notice, or if you've been searching for a more peaceful and congruent way to live without battling them, you're in the right place. I'm Ken, and I'll be joined by Eliza and Raina Stella. Let's explore together on the Liberty Ark. And we are back. I'm Ken, and I'm here with Eliza and Raina Stella for the number 25 podcast. And how are you guys doing? Raina Stella, what you got going on?
It's going really good. I'm very happy to be back. We've been away a little bit.
Yeah.
So excited to bring what we're bringing on today. So it's going to be fun.
Me too. Eliza?
Doing awesome. Yeah, just great to be here.
Good.
You know, I've missed you both.
Well, I will bring up the main slide to start reading. This one is just giving us a basis that this is Liberty Ark Podcast. We're going through a book called The Great International Heist, written by friends of ours, Rebecca and Jonathan Rodriguez, and we're digging into some really interesting information tonight. I think this is going to be a good base for a lot of future discussion, so I'm really excited about getting into this and clarifying a lot of things that I think a lot of people are confused on. So, Eliza, if you want to go ahead and read, I think we got 4 pages to go through.
Okay. Episode 25, Fairness versus Rules. The legal system in the United States has evolved from a lawful government by the people to an administrative services entity. This transformation has significant implications for how individuals and entities operate within it, making rule following more important than fairness and justice. Evolution of the administrative state. After the Civil War, federal authority expanded through civil rights enforcement and the reorganization of administrative governance in Washington, D.C., including the Organic Act of 1871, signaling a shift toward centralized administration. This trend later accelerated with the rise of regulatory agencies and executive rulemaking. Fusion of law and equity. When law and equity were folded into a single civil procedure in 1938, the courts became more efficient, but also more rule-bound. Today, following the process often matters more than arguing what's fair. Equity is the court's discretionary power to grant tailored, non-monetary relief when rigid legal remedies are inadequate, a power that persists but is increasingly constrained within modern administrative and procedural systems. In conclusion, the evolution of the legal system into an administrative governance structure has deeply intertwined it with financial mechanisms based on contracts and securities. This system binds individuals through perpetual debt and legal obligations, limiting their capacity to achieve true sovereignty. Understanding this structure and its implications is crucial for navigating and potentially reclaiming control within the modern legal and financial landscape.
Good. I think we'll clarify a few myths and really demystify some of the history that has landed us in the condition that we're in right now. Fairness versus rules is a key concept where courts now and everybody really is worried about rules and regulations. Everybody's stressed over rules and regulations. That when we had kind of smaller communities and community relationships and so forth, that wasn't the case. But as the country grew and everything became more centralized because things were further away and so forth, controlling us, it went more to a rule-based program. And that really kind of began around Civil War time. Eliza, you have a really good historical kind of base can you just kind of bring people through with a general sweep of how we got ourselves into this mess we're in?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. But what happened after the Civil War, in order to facilitate cleanup and fair treatment of folks after the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln came in, and that was 1871, and he instituted a system of executive orders. Okay, it was supposed to, on an emergency basis, was supposed to be temporary, but this is this is to what we're referring by administrative governments, administrative versus which was legal versus constitutional. It was a temporary emergency override, and we hear a lot about executive orders, but this was then instituting the first executive order. Didn't turn out to be too temporary. And since then, you'll see that somehow we must always be kept in a state of emergency in order to invoke these, or the administrative system to continually be using a governance based upon executive order outside of the Constitution.
So under the Constitution, we had 3 branches of government, and we had a republic. Right. And the republic could function at that point because you had direct representation. You would know who your representative was, right? They actually had lots more representatives then. Now we have a lot fewer. So each representative is supposed to be representing a whole bunch of people. But how often do you speak to your U.S. representative?
Never.
Virtually never. They're not accountable to you in any way. They get elected, and then they just start spending money in order to get elected the next time. Right? So it's all went to, instead of a decentralized power in the people, which is what the Constitution called for, and 3 branches of government that each kept each other under check, right? We went to these administrative agencies and people that represent us being way at another place and making lots of money and doing deals that aren't what is best for us, but what's best for them, right? And then we started creating a whole bunch, one emergency after another. We needed all these agencies. So we've got the EPA, and we've got the FBI, and we got the CIA, and we've got the IRS, and we've got the FED, the Federal Reserve Bank, right? And those are the things that impact your life every day. The base of of what's supposed to be the government, the legislature, the executive branch, and the judicial branch really don't have much impact on your life every day.
But we can still say that the Constitution is still the foundation.
It's just ignored.
So would you say that when people are invoking the Constitution, like this is why they feel like it's ineffective or they're unheard because of this change?
Yeah. Yeah, because they control us through those agencies, right? I mean, it's hard to do business because of all the rules and regulations. And none of those rules and regulations are in the Constitution. They're through all these administrative organizations that are there to save us and make our life better and so forth, theoretically.
So we have these 62,000 statutes and codes that are created by these administrative organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is not something they weren't passed by Congress. These are, Congress passes laws.
Mm-hmm.
But because of this administrative override with these 62,000 statutes and codes, that's what we're referring to when we say legal versus lawful. We are run by a legal system, a legal administrative system that was created again, as an emergency measure that was supposed to be temporary. But as long as they keep us in some state of emergency, it could be like war on drugs, war on whatever. It takes nothing to basically keep us statutorily in a state of emergency.
That's why you see so much craziness from one administration, what they call an administration, elect a president, they supposedly bring people in. They can't get anything accomplished through the legislature, so they can't get laws passed, right? So what they do is they do executive orders, which are only good while that president, that group is in control, because the next one that comes in is just going to undo all of those if they haven't gotten them through the actual legislature into law, which they usually don't get most of them through that way.
Unfortunately, most other countries have followed suit to also create these administrative states, even though they have underlying lawful systems there. And we say underlying because it's still there. We just have to invoke it.
You know, the Constitution was really based on fairness and justice, and there didn't need to be a whole bunch of rules and regulations because it was, hey, treat everybody like you want them to treat you. You know, and it's pretty simple.
So I have a question. So what's the simplest way for us to understand the difference? Because to this day, I mean, we all think it's government by the people, right? How many of us know that it has, in a way, transformed into an administrative service per se?
I don't know that everybody knows that it's transformed into administrative service, but they do know that there's no accountability to their for their representatives. They know that no matter who they vote for, it's not going to make a difference because they're going to get taken over once they get to D.C.
Yeah, I just find it interesting, like the timing of when this took place, right? Like how, and I don't think it was from one day to the next, right? I know that things are planned, and
oh yeah.
So just curious on that and the timing, why during that time.
One of the things that's really interesting to me is that it all really, well, the big switchover happened with Abraham Lincoln, who's perceived by everybody of being such a wonderful president, right? I mean, that's what I got told when I was in school, right? Mm-hmm. But when you get in and study, you find out maybe not so much. Now, he had a difficult situation on his hands, which was not caused by what we got taught in school either. But he did have a difficult situation, and he managed to work it through.
Yeah, and he basically didn't have time to wait on, Congress to enact laws. He had to handle the situation, and he was a lawyer. He knew how to manage this to actually create an executive order system.
Right. Which, if
it was put through at the time, that it was emergency only and temporary. But remember what happened to him. He didn't live long enough to basically rescind all of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you have no idea what he would have actually done had he not gotten killed. And there's probably, that's likely to be part of why he got killed. That would be my guess.
Mm-hmm. That's my thought.
But the system still, promotes justice. It's calling itself lawful rather than the administrative service or simply administrative. Like,
again, they've got to give you the illusion of choice and freedom, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, there would be upheaval in the streets if they didn't let you think that you had freedom and choice.
And that's where
what we're finding.
And that's where I say the awareness, of course, that's on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Go for it, Eliza.
But that's what we're going for here. In going forward, is like, what is our bottom line? Why are we talking about all of this? And it's that underlying piece of lawful and equitable still exists. And we're going to be talking in the future and addressing just shortly, in a very short way now, that this process called equity still exists. But how do you get it?
Yeah. And most people don't even know what the word equity means. But in this sense, I would just refer to it as fairness and justice. I mean, we can go a lot deeper than that, but that's really it. Whereas if you're driving 56 miles an hour and you get a ticket because you're driving a mile over the speed limit, you've done something against the law, but is it fair to give you a ticket? Is that justice? Really? Right? So that's when the rubber meets the road. It's that kind of thing. Is it letter of the law that makes sense? Is that human, or have we gotten kind of out of control? Now, are there reins that need to be put on some people? Absolutely. Right. But at what point do you cut that off and try to have some humanity and some fairness and justice involved in the deal? And they used to actually have, before 1938, they had you had to make a decision when you went to court. Am I going to take this to an equity court, or am I going to take it to, I don't even know what they called it then. I can't remember what the other side is. Administrative
court.
Yeah. So you would decide when you took it to court which type of court you were going to go to, and the judges worked based on which kind of court that was. And the administrative court has to follow the rules, and the equity courts, the judge had much more latitude to figure out who you are and what you really did, and does this judgment make any sense, right? Based on fairness and justice. Well, the legislative people were getting kind of they thought the judges had too much power, basically, because again, the checks and balances of the branches, the legislator didn't think the judges were following the rules well enough, and that they had too much flexibility to be fair to people. How horrible is that, right? So they merged them two together. So most people nowadays aren't even aware that equity is available. They think all there is the administrative courts. And one of the things that we're going to be getting into over the next period of time is that equity is available, but it's not in a different court. It's in this court, same judge. Not a separate judge. But you have to know how to bring equity to the court so the judge can give you equity. Because the natural thing that they do in the system is they give you administrative justice rather than equity, unless you know how to pull equity out of it.
Mm-hmm. And so you see this, the word, the process. What that refers to is the administrative process. But the two processes were merged. They exist in that court. And that's why, the equity process is still there. But you have to choose it and be able to basically invoke it through the judge. And that's why equity is called a procedural distinction that every judge should be aware of.
And this is where you say...
We'll talk about that further.
And this is where you say that we will be bringing that in later episodes, because it is on us, from our awareness, our knowledge, where we're getting to is we are the ones to bring it we are the ones to bring equity into the process or to the courts. And that's actually very, very powerful. Even though this change did take place, the fact that we are discussing it and bringing awareness to it, I find that there's a positive and there's light at the end of the tunnel, that we have, in a way, the ability, the power to be able to, bring that forward to help us out, in our day to day. And it's valuable. It's exciting to know that we have this process in place.
Good. Well, we're going to cut it off there for this podcast.
If we can, let's just go to the conclusion, show the conclusion slide, if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Slide. And this is it's understanding for me the structure, this last sentence, understanding the structure and the implications is crucial for navigating it and potentially reclaiming control within the modern legal and financial landscape. And that is understanding and being able to bring equity forward.
Okay. That's it for tonight, and we will fill this out a little bit more on the next round on number 26.
Absolutely. We can't cut
forward
it
to
off
it.
here. We need to continue.
That's right.
It's exciting.
Okay, no. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys. This was really fun.
See you guys
This
soon.
is important stuff here. All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Much love. See ya. Bye-bye.
The views expressed in this Liberty Ark podcast are for informational and educational purposes only. They do not constitute legal or tax advice, and they may not reflect the official positions of anyone at all, really. We want to express our appreciation to the authors of the unpublished manuscript titled The Great International Heist, on which the Liberty Ark podcast is based. Rebecca and Jonathan Rodriguez, the authors, provide courses that go into much greater depth and are available at libertyarkpodcast.com/White Rabbit.